Hi everyone, I'm Georgopoulos, the host of the Amfish fishing video blog. We are out here finally bass fishing, first time this season. Our opener was last week and we're on a little gem of a lake in Ontario. Drove through a little dirt road, actually a very bumpy dirt road, lots of rocks and stuff to get out here, but it's a nice little gem of a spot. And I wanted to take an opportunity to do a video that was a request from one of my fellow Amfishers out there, trying to determine how do you know if you've spooled line onto a reel incorrectly or if you've just got a bad spool of line. So I'm going to come into the camera here real quick. That reel right there is just the baitcaster reel, and you'll see there's some mono on there. At the base of that I actually have some black hockey tape. What I do with that black hockey tape is I put that on the base of the actual spool itself, kind of give a little bit of a grip. Spools are alloy and aluminum and all that kind of stuff, so they're going to be fairly slippery. By doing that tape thing there, you're actually giving the line some grip. Now why I've actually put some mono on the base of the spool as well is, here's braided line, no stretch. A lot of people miss the fact that braided line has zero stretch. So by putting the mono, I probably put about anywhere from 20 to 30 feet of mono, I'm giving the base of that reel and the base of that line some flex. What that flex is going to do is going to allow you from busting all your gears and your brakes and everything when you set the hook. You might set the hook into a fish, or you might actually set the hook into a stump. And without having the flex, again, this is the braid itself, there's no stretch. If I keep pulling that, if I pull that real hard, it'll go right through my fingers, right through my skin. So back to the actual part here. So I've got my mono on the bottom of the reel. That there is a uni knot, which I will demonstrate in a few minutes. And what I do is I make sure I've got the drag on this. I can't pull this drag. The drag's the actual star itself. I can't tighten that any more than it is right now. What I do is I make sure that's super tight. And most spools these days come self-spooling. So what I actually do, because it works for me, and you may find something that works for you, is I just leave that on the ground. When you're putting line onto a baitcaster, you're going to want to put it in this direction, not flat. It needs to come off the actual spool the way it's going onto the actual spool. So I just start the crank. Hopefully this works for me. Just got it between my legs here, just between my feet, and I'm securing it, and I'm actually spooling. I'll show you this. I'll bring this up to camera. What you want to look for, properly spooled line. Always stop it right about, yeah, that works good. I'll stop it right about here. So what you want to look for, I'll bring this right back up into the camera, is very flat line. Just like you're tying up some rope to a dock and you want it really tight. That's a very tight foundation. If you start seeing line, this part here is thinner and it's really bulking up on this side, then it's spooled completely incorrectly. You're going to have to take all that off and put it back on. But I'm going to spool some more line on here. And I actually want everyone to be able to see I'm doing this as tight as I can. You may want to actually do it the way I'm doing it. Putting the reel on the rod sometimes can be a little bit of a hindrance. So I just secure this. Like I said, these spool on their own. Secure it between your legs or get a friend to hold it for you. I'm going to spool a little bit more line on here real quick. Back up to the camera, and you can actually see that that's going on fairly evenly from side to side. So that's going to be the difference, everybody. When you're out there and you're spooling your lines, whether you're doing it at home or doing it in a boat, you're going to look for evenness. But make sure when you're using braided line, you put a really tight foundation. So again, this drag, which is the star piece on here, needs to be as tight as possible. You can always loosen that when you start to fish later. So on that note, that's how you actually put it onto that. I'm going to show you how to tie this arbor knot. Say this steering wheel here is the reel. This is a baitcaster reel. This part here would be the way a spinning reel appears. Spinning reel is this way, and then the baitcaster is this way. So I'll put it through the baitcaster. Let me get my friend here, maybe just step forward a little bit. Once you do that, let's see if I can secure this line up here out of the way a bit. You're just going to do an overhand, and I'll get my hand out of the way in a second. So all you're doing is tying a loop over that main line. And then you're going to tie a second loop. And the only reason I'm using this rope is it's a lot easier to see. Even with an HD camera, it'd be hard to get that. So what happens now is, this is going to pull right up, and again, this would be a bait casting reel. Sorry, it's starting to rain a little bit. As you pull, and pull and pull and pull, that knot catches onto that knot, and it gives you a really stable knot. Now it's really starting to downpour. This is a great part of shooting videos out here on the lake. If I was to do that same knot here, we're going to keep rolling just for the sake of getting this video done in this downpour. And potentially get pretty soaked. As you can see, it's coming down, but it's the exact same way. There's my second loop, there's my first loop. Spinning reels like this, you're going to pull, 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 and those two loops catch one another. Practice these knots, everybody. They're very handy to know. As I sit here in the rain talking about how to spool line onto reels, but practice them. Very good knots to know, attaching line to a spool. And when you're doing this, you're putting line onto an actual spool. Be cautious, take your time, do it right, and I will visit, actually you'll visit me at my next video blogs. Thanks for tuning in, see you next time.